There's a warm welcome back to this part two of our concert here at the Royal Festival Hall tonight, the second in this year's series, the International Festival of Light Music. That opening number was called So Deep Is the Night, Sid Lawrence's own arrangement of the Chopin classic. And of course, Sid and the band are no strangers to this beautiful jumbo jet hangar with lights here. Appeared here so many times, the GLC charging your rent, I think, now, Sid, aren't they? And now they're going to be joined on stage again by Jeff Hooper, who was actually born in the land of song at a place called Llantrisant in South Wales, and from an early age showed a keen liking for big band music. Evidently, the great Mel Torme once said to Jeff Hooper, "Kid, you sound great." And Jeff replied, "What did you say your name was again?" It's great having a drink in the interval, isn't it? So here now is Jeff Hooper with another great Johnny Mercer lyric, Day In, Day Out. Day in, day out, the same old voodoo follows me about. In my heart whenever I think of you, and baby, I think of you day in and day out, day out, day in. I need to tell you how my day begins. When I awaken with a tingle, with one possibility in view, and that possibility of maybe seeing you. Come rain, come shine, I meet you, and to me the day is born. Then I kiss your lips, and the pounding becomes the ocean's roar, 1,000 drums. Can't you see that it's love? Can there be any doubt? When there it is, day in, day out. The day is fine, then I kiss your rosy lips, the pounding becomes large oceans roar, like Ronnie Barrow's drums. Can't you see that it's love? Can there be any doubt? When there it is, and here it is, when there it is, day in, day out. Yes, Jeff Hooper, the Sid Lawrence Orchestra, and a song written, incidentally, in 1939. It's quite hard these days to imagine the world all those 40-odd years ago, a world without non-stick frying pans and no electric toothbrushes, no Leslie Crowther on the television. And in those far-off days, BBC announcers, you know, always used to wear dinner suits to read the news. And here we are, 45 years later, we're on the radio and... Things have progressed. But the quality of a good song will survive down the years and down through every quirk in musical fashion. There's a lovely old Billie Holiday song which was recently successfully revived by Alison Moyet. And here to sing it for us now, a beautiful version of that lovely song, is Tracy Miller.
It's that old devil called love again. Gets behind me and keeps giving me that shove again. With rain in my eyes, tears in my dreams, and rocks in my heart. It's that sly old son of a gun again. He keeps telling me that I'm the lucky one again. But I still have that rain, still have those tears and those rocks in my heart. Suppose I didn't stay when the wind wouldn't rain. The devil, what a potion he would brew. He'd follow me round, build me up, tear me down. I'd be so bewildered, I wouldn't know what to do. Might as well give up that fight again. I know darn well he'll convince me that he's right again. When he sings that sorry song, I just gotta tag along with that old devil called love. He'd follow me round, build me up, tear me down. I'd be so bewildered, I wouldn't know what to do. Might as well give up that fight again. I know darn well he'll convince me that he's right again. When he sings that sorry song, I just gotta tag along with that old devil called love. With that old devil called love.
Yes, Tracy Miller there once again. Obviously, being in charge of a team of visiting firemen and musos like this lot is a pretty exhausting business for old Sid Lawrence. There's not only the usual problems with the music and arrangements, etc. There's also the sheer logistics of keeping the band on the road, checking railway bus timetables and things, booking rooms, the YMCA, you know, the reservations at pie stalls, hot dog counters and things. In fact, Sid and the band, they spend most of the year on the road, not only in this country, but all over the world. He hasn't been home for years. He's forgotten the address, I think, now. Mind you, his wife's name is just on the tip of his tongue, I can see it. So this next number should bring a sardonic smile to the faces of the band. I think it's called Lonesome Road.
1, 2, 3, go!
Doesn't sound very lonely to me. Lonesome Road. And so now Sid Lawrence and the band, they can pull into a bit of a lay-by and take the weight off their chops for a moment or two, because it's time to welcome back three of Britain's most talented musicians. One of them, Roy Budd, has just completed the score for the new picture Wild Geese 2. But then he was always very keen on the birds. So let's welcome back the Roy Budd Trio.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I must say, even exhausted, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the stage Elaine Delmar.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me, getting to know you. I'm putting in my way, but nicely. You are precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know you, I'm getting to feel free and easy when I'm with you. Getting to know just what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things that I'm learning about you. Day by day, getting to know you. I'm getting to know all about you. Getting to like you. Getting to hope you all like me. Getting to know you. Putting in my way, but nicely. You are precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know you, getting to feel free and easy. When I am with you, I'm getting to know just what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things that I'm learning about you. Day I'm discontented with homes that I rent, so I have invented my own. Darling, this place is a lover's oasis, where life's weary chases are known. Far from the cry of the city, where flowers pretty caress the stream. Cozy to hide in, to sit side by side in. Don't let it abide in my dreams. Picture you upon my knee. 2 for 2 and 2 for 2 for you. And you for me. Nobody near us we won't have it known that we own a telephone. Sugar cake for you to take. For the boys to Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They say the old time things are the best. That may be very good for all the rest. But I'm gonna let the old things be, 'cause they are certainly not suited to me. There may be other times when I felt that way. That's why I'm singing here today. Since everyone is speaking from now on, I'm gonna seek some new things too. There'll be a change in the weather and a change in the scene. From now on, there'll be a change in me. My walk will be different, my talk and my name. Nothing about me is gonna be the same. I'm gonna change my way of living. And if that ain't enough, I'm gonna change the way I stuff my stuff. Nobody wants you when you're old and gray. There'll be some changes made today. There'll be some changes made. A change in the fashion as the feminine folk. Even Red Fox tell 'em nice, clean jokes. Take out the old, put on the new. Do some of the things that the other girls do. I'm gonna change my so-called daddy for a soft little fad. I'm gonna change the place where I live at. Give me some lovers while I'm young and gay. There'll be some changes made today. There'll be
performance from Elaine Delmar and the Roy Budd Trio. Elaine, by the way, for those of you listening at home, has been changing dresses between songs, which is more than can be said for some of us. Back now we go to the Sid Lawrence Orchestra. Over the years, Sid and the band, he's built up a tremendous army of fans from the highest to the lowest in the land. I believe the Queen Mother is a great fan of Sid Lawrence's music, and she presumably boogies the nights away in Clarence House to Sid's records and quaffing mum champagne, you know. But now let's give the Queen Mum a bit of a sit-down as the band create a rather more pensive mood. In fact, what we're going to play is the theme from the film The Glenn Miller Story, which has just been re-released in Dolby Stereo. Henry Mancini wrote it. It's called Too Little Time. There's the trombone soloist, Derek Southcott. Thing called Too Little Time. Here in London at the moment, it's very rare to meet anyone else with an English accent. The town is absolutely packed to the gunwales at the moment with American holidaymakers. The men, you'll notice, all dressed in loud check bookmakers' jackets. The women all seem to wear these enormous, broad-bottomed kind of trouser suits. They all have accents. They all talk like Dolly Parton, don't they? The reactions to everything here in London is either cute or quaint. But they do remind us that we owe a great debt to our old colonial friends for giving the world a big, brassy American musical. Tracy Miller takes us back right now to the bright lights of the Great White Way and all the tears behind the laughter with a marvelous song from the Stephen Sondheim show, Follies.
Play the maid to be in a show. Hey, Mr. Producer, I'm talking to you, sir. I don't need a lot, only what I got, and a tube of grease paint and a follow spot. Someday, maybe, if I stick it long enough, I'ma get to strut myself. Working for a nice man like a Ziegfeld or a white man in a great big
Glorious, heartrending song from Tracy Miller. What with Tracy Miller, Glenn Miller, the whole evening's turning into a benefit for the Miller family, isn't it, tonight? Anyway, we have a little contrast once again. We're going to return to the final time this evening to these compact jazz swinging sounds of, ladies and gentlemen, the Roy Budd Trio.
so tall. Wasn't it yesterday when they were small? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears.
Part of the first movement in a vintage performance of Elgar's First Symphony, recorded in 1977 by Sir Adrian Boult and the London Philharmonic Orchestra. In fact, to those who took my advice before and got the Previn version, I can still say that that remains the better choice for the symphony, not only because of more modern recording, but for the extra refinement of the playing, and a really spacious account of the lovely slow movement that is even more heartwarming than Boult's. But EMI cunningly has provided on this single CD not only this 50-minute symphony, but a substantial fill-up. The Chanson de Matin, Chanson de Nuit, and the lovely Serenade for Strings, recorded in 1973 and sounding very vivid indeed. Sir Adrian Boult conducting the London Philharmonic Orchestra in Elgar's Serenade for Strings, the substantial fill-up for his fine version of Elgar's First Symphony. That's EMI CDC 747204-2 on compact disc. EMI has also issued a CD version of another of Bolt's later recordings, his account of Vaughan Williams's London Symphony, and that too comes into direct rivalry with a version from Andre Previn. Again, I have to say I marginally prefer Previn, again with a warmer, more spacious, slow movement. But Bolt has a marvellous fill-up to the symphony in a radiant version of Vaughan Williams's Fantasia on a theme of Thomas Tallis. Surgingly beautiful performance of Vaughan Williams's Tallis Fantasia comes on a new CD which couples that 1976 recording from Sir Adrian Bolt and the LPO with the account of Vaughan Williams's London Symphony they recorded 5 years earlier. That's EMI CDC 7472132. But as I said just now, even finer than Bolt's account of the London Symphony is the one which Andre Previn recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra at the same period in the early 70s. The slow movement in particular is more spacious and more tenderly emotional. That rapt performance of Vaughan Williams's London Symphony comes from Andre Previn and the London Symphony Orchestra. Originally recorded in 1972, it now comes in a transfer to CD with a coupling that's even more generous than the one which EMI provides for the Bolt version. The rarely heard Vaughan Williams violin concerto, Concerto Academico, with James Boswell as soloist, and the overture to the Wasps. Over 70 minutes of music before the 19 That's RCA RD 89826. It's a very good idea, I think, when record companies issue CD versions of vintage recordings like that, if they provide extra generous couplings, taking advantage of the playing time of up to 75 minutes available on the new medium. RCA's other CD issue of Previn conducting Vaughan Williams also boasts 70 minutes plus, and has a particularly pointful coupling of the Third Symphony, the Pastoral, and the Fourth Symphony, which followed just over a decade later in 1935. Oddly enough, it's the gentle, spacious, and unforced Pastoral Symphony which was directly influenced by Vaughan Williams's traumatic experiences during the First World War as an ambulance driver in France. While the Fourth Symphony, uncharacteristically violent, was the one that everyone assumed was inspired by war or the threat of it, something the composer firmly denied. Anyway, the as well as point four. 3 of the 4 movements of the pastoral are slow, and Previn's expressive warmth, as in the London Symphony, touches exactly the right nerve, tender and deeply felt, but not at all sentimental. Part of the hauntingly beautiful slow finale of Vaughan Williams's Symphony No. 3, The Pastoral. In a performance as dedicated as this one from Andre Previn and the London Symphony Orchestra, you wonder why this should have been so neglected among the Vaughan Williams symphonies. In some ways, it's the most original of all, where the dissonances and aggressive manners of the Fourth Symphony, which in the 1930s seemed very advanced for this composer, aren't likely to worry anyone today. That superb coupling of 2 symphonies comes on a compact disc from RCA, RD 89827. About the dissonant opening of the Fourth Symphony, Vaughan Williams is supposed to have said, "If this is modern music, I don't like it." But after those dissonances, even that first movement becomes warmly lyrical, as you will hear in this passage, with which I'll leave you. Till next week, from Edward Greenfield, goodbye.
Symphony Orchestra conducted by Andre Prehn. And it ends Classical Record Review for this week. The time now, 8:30. BBC World Service.
Quote, unquote, unquote. That's 3 quotes. Add another quote and make it a gallop.
Recognized and introduced by Nigel Reese.
Hello, once more. We're messing about with more persons, and joining me on this occasion to do the messing about, I have 4 people who are well used to using words in their various fields. Tim Rice is the man who wrote the words for the musicals Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and most recently Chess. He also holds the title, and I think he's the first person ever to appear on quote-unquote holding it, of the rock brain of the universe. Frank Keating uses words to write about sport. He can usually be found within the pages of the Guardian newspaper. He's also probably Britain's leading collector of the interesting and bizarre things sportsmen say. Dilly Keane writes words and sets them to music and then performs them as one of the 3 girls who make up the cabaret group called Fascinating Aida. And we're joined by a man who writes and talks about horse racing with authority, because he was an outstanding amateur jockey who rode in 11 Grand Nationals and finished second in one of them. He is Lord Benson of the Wells of Products. Ronald Fletcher is here to read out the quotations we're going to talk about, and we begin with some very short ones. Tim Rice, where might you have encountered the catchphrase, cookie, cookie, then milk?
Oh yes, this is a hit record. It was in America in 1960 by Ed Burns and Connie Stevens. And Ed Burns played the character Cookie, who spoke very hip all the time, was always combing his hair. And he had this enormous record in America on Warner Brothers, WB5. And it was not quite so successful in England, but it comes from 77 Sunset Strip.
Yes.
It was all like, hey man, let's crash this pert daddy-o. I mean, it was, you know, the sort of thing which I'm just about getting into now. But the show also had Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. in.
He said things like, baby, you're the ginchiest.
Oh, yes.
Meaning the greatest. And an expression for sleeping was piling up the Zs.
Yes.
You know, like in a
Actually, it was actually piling up the Zs.
Yes. Ed Burns and Connie Stevens had a hit record with it quite correctly, as you say, Tim Rice, in 1960. It reached number 27 in the United Kingdom charts. And here we have a brief moment from it, including Connie Stevens.
Lend me your comb. Cookie.
Now then, moving on to another catchphrase. Frank Keating. In a 1983 newspaper interview, the person next to you, Tim Rice, said this about a then forthcoming show he had written.
It would be nice if it was a success, but I won't be upset if it isn't. It's only rock and roll after all, and it doesn't really matter a hoot.
Now then, where does this phrase, it's only rock and roll, come from?
A cricket lover. Or Mick Jagger, I would say. I think it's the Stones.
Yes, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones wrote a song called It's Only Rock and Roll in 1974. And it's sort of a catchphrase, isn't it? People use it for meaning it's no big deal. Is that why you used it, Tim?
Yes, I don't know. I was probably trying to, be slightly flip to the interviewer. I think it was Now magazine, if I remember rightly, which James Goldsmith tried to do British journalism with. I actually have every single issue of Now magazine. I've kept them thinking it might be worth something in a few years' time. So I've got to answer by every single issue. I've got them all.
Where does this sort of catchphrase come from?
I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play.
It's a song. Yes, it's from a song. It's a sort of expression you might use, to saying that people weren't interested in what I had to offer. Is that indeed a song?
Oh, yes. It's very unfair to ask me songs. I don't know any, apart from my own.
It's a song...
A lager drinker, for sure.
Quite. It's from a Carter Noel Gay composition from a little while back, and here is Evan Reed singing it.
Off to a party, but nobody asked me to play. The others were jolly and hearty, but I wasn't feeling so gay. They might have said, play us a tune we can sing, but somehow I don't think they noticed the thing. I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play. So I took the darn thing away.
John Oaksey, all sorts of people use this catchphrase now, not least the President of the United States. But what sort of person would have said it in the first place?
You can run, but you can't hide.
It's sporting. It is. It can't be my sort of sport, because no horse would say that.
I'd say Joe Louis said that when two-ton Tony Galento, a barman in the Bronx, challenged him when he was very young, he said, "I'll mind at the bum." Another good quote for you, Nigel.
Yeah. Could easily be the gentleman you mentioned, but the one that I've got is that it was in 1946 before a World Heavyweight Championship fight against Billy Conn. So there we are, there's the catchphrases. And so to our second round, which is devoted to things one person said about another. In each case, the two people have something in common. If I tell you one of their names, can you tell me the other? Tim Rice, one 18th century politician about another. About whom did Edmund Burke say,
He is not merely a chip off the old block, but the block itself.
Well, my knowledge of that century is pretty limited, so it has to be a pit, I suppose.
which pit?
Well, if it's the chip off the pit, it must be the younger pit.
Yes, rather. Yes.
Do not say anything else about it, except he was only 24 when he became Prime Minister, which is very sad to think that I will not ever beat that record.
Yes, Edmund Burke was talking about Pitt's maiden speech in 1781. Pitt the Younger was the son of the Earl of Chatham, and like his father was a British Parliament. And here we have two Soviet politicians. The one who said this was Andrei Gromyko. Who was he talking about?
This man has a nice smile, but he's got iron teeth.
I can't...
They do have iron teeth in Russia, don't they? They instead of having gold teeth like us, they do tend to have silver ones or tin or whatever. It looks like iron teeth if they smile.
Well, that's a fascinating... Yes. You look at the teeth first, don't you, John?
Of course, to tell the age. Yes.
Perhaps Mr. Gromyko wasn't saying anything particularly unusual when he said. Okay, Dilly, coming on to you. And back to the early 19th century for this remark.
Before my time, this is so unfair.
Of whom did Samuel Taylor Coleridge say,
To see him act is like reading Shakespeare by flashes of lightning.
Well, I do know this quote, actually, and it's somebody with my own name, but unfortunately no relation. I have a relation called Edmund Kean, but he's my uncle, and he's a Jesuit in Dublin, which is not quite the same thing, but it's Edmund Kean.
Yes, Edmund Kean, the 18th century English actor, leading tragedian of his day. And he turned to the drink, I'm afraid. And
oh, well, all the Keans do. Where's the bottle?
Anyway, we were talking about Edmund Kean, the English actor. John Oaksey, one British Prime Minister talking about another. The one who was talking was Sir Alec Douglas Hume, now Lord Hume.
A large pipe and thick country tweeds gave the image of a yeoman squire living close to the soil. It was very clever, because in fact he was at his happiest in a room, preferably facing north, with the windows shut, reading Mary Webb.
Well, the pipe and the tweed suit made me start thinking that he was saying that the day he said, I'm the fourth Lord Hume and he's the second Mr. Wilson. But it isn't Mr. Wilson.
Another Prime Minister famous for his pipe. Probably even more famous than Harold Wilson for his.
Mrs. Thatcher.
Mrs. Thatcher. I think he's a secret pipe smoker, because I don't think we know any more than
Baldwin?
that. Yes, it was Baldwin. Stanley
It has to be Baldwin. I didn't know he liked facing north.
Very well. This is according
I think it's got to be Stan.
Yes, Stanley Baldwin, later Earl Baldwin, British Conservative Prime Minister in the 1930s. Now, that comment about him came from Lord Hume's memoirs, which are called The Way the Wind Blows. We're going to change things around now, and I'm going to ask you, if you were writing your life story, what quotation would you select as the title for it? Tim Rice.
I think maybe Superstar, Jesus Christ.
Do you think that the phrase Jesus Christ
Probably gave the movement to do that an enormous, hefty push, but I nicked the word from an advert for Tom Jones in Las Vegas.
Can we think of any other titles for your autobiography? The Rice Papers?
Yes, I think that would be a very good title. You could also eat the book after you read it.
Very useful. Frank Keating, what are you going to call your book? You've already done a book of sports quotes called Caught by Keating, which is rather neat. What else would you use?
As a sports writer, I should go for life is but a golden straw.
Lily Keane, what's he going to call your book?
Well, I thought that if I had a book that was my autobiography, I would choose something from P.G. Woodhouse's own autobiography, which would be Memoirs of a Spavined Old Deadbeat.
I'm fascinated by the title of your group, Fascinating Aida. Is that a quotation?
No, it's not. A friend of ours was on holiday in Mexico, said he was nothing to do one evening, and he'd seen adverts everywhere for Super Olga, who was appearing at the Hilton. He said to his friend, "What'll we do tonight?" She said, because she was American, "Well, let's go and see Fascinating Aida," or whatever her name is. And he said, "Ooh." So he memorized it for me, especially, because he would not take the name to Fascinating Aida. But I went to see her, and she was wonderful. She took a lot of clothes off and danced with snakes, and underneath her clothes, there were clever mirrors that I started to represent the laser beam light show. And, the woman with bells tied to various of her extremities, in fact, all her extremities, and proceeded to play a tune. And the top note was, of course, her chest. She waggled all the bells in time, and she was wonderful. And she sang and danced, and finally, she came on in a little black dress with a violin, and tucked the violin under her chin, and played classical music.
Fascinating Aida. Now, John Oaksey, what are you going to call your book?
Well, the best autobiography title has been stolen by a lovely ex-jockey, sadly now dead, Jack Leach, and his book was called Sods I've Cut on the Turf. I have a title for my memoir, if it ever comes. It's been foisted on me by a not particularly kind friend. It's not a quotation, it's the grounds for an objection, in fact. It's bumping and boring. And the explanation for that is that if you're an amateur jockey, you are known, at any rate by profession, as a bumper, on account of your bottom bumping up and down on the unfortunate horse. And the boring part just refers to the fact that I've been banging on about the poor animals for about 30 years. So the bumping and boring it will have to be. It wouldn't be as good as the sods.
We will look forward to reading that one, your autobiography. Thank you very much. Now, back to the class. Having got you in the way of looking at quotations as book titles, see if you can tell me why these books are so called, because there is a quotation or an allusion in their title. Tim Rice. Robert Graves, the poet, wrote a study called
Lars Porsena, or the future of swearing and improper language.
Now, what was the allusion to there?
This is a line from something. Something like Lars Porsena, it sounds like a Swedish car, but in fact is some sort of Roman general. Lars Porsena, by the 9 gods he swore. That's it. I remember it because it was in the Eagle comic. In the picture story of the life of Winston Churchill. Or it could have been Gordon of Cartoon.
This is your education, was it?
Well,
educated in the Eagle.
I got no level divinity on the story of St. Paul on the back page of Eagle. They were very good.
Well, where's it from? Come on,
I don't know. I mean, it's from Eagle. It's Horatio, isn't it?
Yes, Horatio. Lord Macaulay by included in Ballets of Ancient Rome, which came out in 1842. You'll remember, Tim, that Lars Porsena did indeed do a lot of swearing.
Lars Porsena of Clusium, by the 9 gods he swore that the great house of Tarquin should suffer wrong no more. By the 9 gods he swore it.
Ballets of Ancient Rome would be a good title for Cleopatra's autobiography.
Yes, indeed. Sorry. Not at all. Frank Keating. Emma Latham is a thriller writer, and she entitled one of her books, Going for Gold. Oh, where do you think she got that from?
Sounds like the back page of the Daily Express during the Olympics.
That's it, really. Go for Gold comes from the Olympics.
Bronze man myself.
In 1984, the British Olympic team was even attempting to sing a song called Go for Gold.
That's a Nick. That's Borchardt. And he was not English.
No, and I don't think any gold medals for that song either.
No, there was another one in 1972 which I sang on called Bronze, Silver and Gold. It's even worse.
Lloyd Webber. That was sung there by the British Olympic team, 1984, with the Digital Silver Band. Incidentally, I would have said, I'm not going down the rest of anything. In 1832, there is a political slang, Duke Go for Gold, which was somehow intended to prevent the Duke of Wellington from forming a government. So, everything, nothing new under the sun. Ellie Keane, there's an amusing novel by Alice Thomas Ellis called Birds of the Air. Two places where that phrase might have come from, the birds of the air.
A nursery song?
A nursery rhyme. A nursery
rhyme. Is it something to do with Cock Robin?
Yes, it is Cock Robin. All the birds of the air fell a sighing and a sobbing when they heard the bell toll for poor Cock Robin. Doesn't quite rhyme, that, does it? But Robin and sobbing. Yes.
Well, it depends. If it's Robin and Robin, then it rhymes.
That's one place. The other place is you could find the phrases in the Bible. The foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests. St. Matthew chapter 8, verse 20, and it also occurs elsewhere in the Bible. John Oaksey, the TV comedy series Yes Minister, about the workings of government in Britain, apparently derived its title from this passage. Who wrote it?
Already I realize the tremendous effort it requires not to be taken over by the civil service. My minister's room is like a padded cell, and in certain ways, I'm like a person who's suddenly certified a lunatic and put safely into this great, vast room, cut off from real life. Of course, they don't behave quite like nurses, because the civil service is profoundly deferential. Yes, minister. No, minister. If you wish it, minister.
Politician. Lord Stockton in his early days?
Not Lord Stockton, or not even when he was Harold Macmillan.
Crossman, he was always on about the civil service.
From Richard Crossman, yes. Richard Crossman, who was a minister in British Labour governments in the 1960s and 70s, wrote his diaries of a cabinet minister in several volumes, and the passage that we quoted described his first day in office as a cabinet minister in October 1964. Round 4 is devoted to allusions. Can you tell me what quotation is being alluded to in these jokey references? Tim Rice, one of Cole Porter's least known songs, in fact only the lyrics survive and no music, has the title Gather Ye Autographs While You May. What's being alluded to there?
Well, it's Gather Ye Rosebuds While You May.
Indeed.
You've got me there, Gov.
I had a birthday card once that said, Gather ye rosebuds while you may, rheumatism may set in any day.
It was written by Robert Herrick, 17th century English poet, and the poem was called To the Virgins, to Make Much of Time. Gathering your rosebuds while you may. Frank Keating, E.B. White, the American humorist, wrote a satirical piece about Ernest Hemingway called Across the Street and Into the Bar. What was he alluding to there?
The only thing I know about a White in America is a Hemingway line, funnily enough. Life itself is the fiercest left hooker of all.
And after him,
comes Charlie White, the Chicago bantamweight. I don't know what you're talking about. I knew we were going to get heavy.
Yeah.
Who does Charlie play for? Crew Alexander.
It was a satire on one of his books, wasn't it?
Yes.
Across the river and into the trees.
That's right.
And E.P. White took it apart cruelly in the New Yorker, I think.
Yes, Across the River and Into the Trees was the title of a 1950 novel by Hemingway. And I think this, in turn, was based on or referred to, the last words of Stonewall Jackson, the American general in the Civil War. He was killed in error by his own troops. His last words were, "Let us cross over the river and rest under the trees." Clearly, the Irish writer Flann O'Brien once remarked on the perennial youthfulness of policemen with these words.
A thing of beauty is a boy forever.
Well, it's a thing of beauty is a joy forever.
Written by a poet who was buried in...
Somebody terribly mushy. 19th century.
Yes, John Keats from his poem Endymion, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. James Joyce once wrote,
Love me, love my umbrella.
I don't know what he was on about, but what's the ironic in that? Love me.
Billy's hedging here.
Love my neighbour?
It's a very well-known expression. Love me.
Love my dog?
Yes. Love me, love... You've heard that. Love me, love my dog.
I've said it all the time. I can't think. Well, there was a big pop song called Love Me, Love My Dog, and I must confess, I thought that was an original phrase by a chap called, funny enough, Shelley. Amazing, Keats Shelley. Oh, well, forget it.
Well, no. Interestingly enough, and you won't believe me when I say this, Love Me, Love My Dog is an expression credit to St. Bernard. But unfortunately, not the St. Bernard after whom the dogs are named.
My best loved line of all Peter Sellers' films, the Clouseau films, was one in which he was questioning a watchman who had a dog. And Clouseau called dogs wolves. And he said to the watchman, right? And the watchman said, no. So Clouseau goes down and pats the dog. He said, your dog didn't bite. And the watchman said, not my dog.
Well, that leads us on to our final section, which is leisure pursuits, it says here. Let me ask you what quotations you have to offer us on the fairly broad theme of leisure pursuits, interpreted as you will.
Well, I think sport, really, plays safe. I play a fair amount of cricket. I'm not very good at it, and one of my heroes in the cricket world is the great writer J.M. Barrie. And he used to run a cricket team, and he used to write very funny anecdotes about it. One of his quotes about his own bowling was that he bowled so slowly that if he didn't like what he delivered, he could walk down the pitch and bring it back before it got to the batsman. And I met a very modest chap the other day who said the highlight of his entire cricket career was when he once hit the ball hard enough to be able to call wait.
Frank Keating, have you chosen a sporting quote?
Soccer overwhelms us through winter, autumn, spring. I like the soccer manager saying, I'm resigning because of illness and fatigue. The fans are sick and tired of me. Very good.
I thought it would have to be an ocean-going quotation. I'm going to quote for you from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And the quotation is,
I have always liked novels about ocean travel, ever since I posed for the front cover of a novel about ocean travel. Because I always say that a girl never really looks as well as she does on board a steamship or even a yacht.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. John Oaksey.
The ox and the hound was made for each other, and nature threw in the fox as a connecting link between the two. Oh, that glorious word fox, how it gladdens my heart and warms the declining embers of my age. He's perfect symmetry, but my affection for him is perfect paradox. In summer, not an hair of his head would I hurt, but in winter, when browning pops and crackling stubble proclaim the farmer's years of
buffalo wing. How I glories in the pursuing of him to destruction. And only him above the main. Not well, the co-op wouldn't like that mess.
What was that, John? It was the greatest sporting lecture of all time, and it was given by John Jorrocks at Hanley Cross after he'd become Master of Villains. And the novels of R.S. 30. That's right. Hunting is the sport of kings, the image of war without its guilt, and only 5 and 20% of its danger.
You also like P.T. Woodhouse?
I do indeed. I really thought of stealing from Matty Wooster his description of Honoria Glossop. One of those rogues, the muscles of a welterweight, and a laugh like a squadron of cavalry charging over a tin bridge. The sort of girl who reduces you to pulp with 16 sets of tennis and 2 or 3 rounds of golf. And then comes down to dinner, fresh as a daisy, expecting you to take an intelligent interest in Freud.
Well, that's where we'll have to close the quote book for today, and we'll leave you with a saying out of the mouths of babes and sucklings. When they left Richard Hailsham in East Sussex, passed on something said by her then 2-year-old son. One of his favourite nursery rhymes begins, Mary, Mary, quiet and carry.
Taking part in quote-unquote were Billy Keane, Frank Keating, Tim Rice and John Oakesy. Nigel Reese devised and introduced the programme. Quotations were read by Ronald Fletcher. Producer, Mary Goodman.
Well, in next week's programme, Nigel Reese gives Eleanor Bron, an actor, Roy Kinnear, a French journalist and broadcaster, Chantal Cuet, and a very English man of letters, Auberon Waugh. And if next week's quote-unquote has a theme at all, then here's Auberon Waugh with a story which really bears no relevance whatsoever to the question he was asked.
Frightfully good piece, which is being irrelevant to this, which comes from Hanley Cross by Surtees, when they're all having a very jolly evening. And they say, what's the weather like outside? And it's quite late at night, and one person staggers up from the table, opens the door, and pushes the wrong door, goes looking outside. And he comes back and says, with the stars showing as the moon out, is it raining? And he says, it's pesky dark and stinks of cheese.
Auberon Waugh there, and Surtees seems to feature very strongly in this series of quote-unquote, the second programme on the air at the same time, 8:30 next Wednesday. Well, tomorrow from London at 8:30, once again John Peel features the newest of new sounds from the British rock music world and pays particular attention to the latest album by The Fall, regularly described by John as his favourite band in all the world. So he'll be pleased anyway. Hope you will be too at 8:30 tomorrow. Well, next in London we have World News, followed by our press review, and at 9:15, The World Today, which takes as its subject El Salvador, where the Roman Catholic Church has made a strong appeal for a peaceful end to the country's civil war. Talks between the government and left-wing rebels were to have been held last week. Disagreements over security arrangements. However, the Archbishop of San Salvador, Monsignor Arturo Rivera Damas, has now offered to act as an intermediary between the two sides. The current state of the civil war and the prospects for reconciliation in El Salvador will be the subject of The World Today in just 15 minutes from now. But before that, as I say, we have World News in half a minute, and that will be followed by a review of Wednesday's newspapers.